All right, welcome to Bartender Journey Podcast number 2. We're excited. Number 2, we're going to keep plugging away, and we had a little action on Twitter. We were excited to get a retweet from John Taffer, so that was exciting.
Yes, and Michelle Gutierrez, an MMA fighter and bartender. So, professional MMA fighter, I may add.
Wow, so that was cool.
Kick
so
ass.
We're just trying to get the word out there any way we can. You guys, if you dig the show, we'd appreciate hearing from you. Maybe if you could tweet for us and tell your friends, people you work with, because we're really looking to build this thing up and make something out of it. And if you got something to say, if you got a tip to share or feedback for us or anything you want, you can get a hold of us a couple ways. We're on Twitter. BarKeepTips. That's all, no spaces or anything. So it's BarKeepTips. That's on Twitter. And this is Vince, by the way. We didn't introduce ourselves. And then my email, vince.bartender@gmail.com. So you can write us, even if you can record yourself and we'll put it in the show. Whatever you want, we'll work it out. And Vano, why don't you give your...
Hey everyone, what's up? You can reach me at Twitter at Vance Vano, capital VANCE, capital VANO. And you can also reach me at bartender2222@gmail.com.
4 2s. That always confuses me, your email address.
Yeah, 22 is my lucky number.
22, 20. So you doubled it up.
That's it.
Awesome.
Go big, go home.
Well, if you remember from podcast number 1, I was just about to leave for Vegas then for the following day, and I did do that, and I'm back now and had a great time. I recorded some little reports the next day in the morning. I would go out at night and check out some bars and bartenders and stuff like that. So the next morning in the hotel, I just got this little portable audio recorder that I ran. So why don't we listen to that first one, and then we'll talk about it. All right, Vince here. I'm in Las Vegas. As I said on the previous podcast, I came out here to meet a buddy who's not arrived yet. Actually, I have 2 days on my own before he gets here, so I've just been kind of wandering around, trying to entertain myself. I'm not a big gambler, so I went out to some bars to check them out. And last night I went to a place called Nob Hill Tavern. I just kind of like the name, for one thing, and it looked like a comfortable place to go in. And so I sat at the bar and started talking to the bartenders there. There was several bartenders. This is the kind of place where they kind of wear these professional, almost like a chef's jacket looking kind of thing that the bartenders wear. So it was, it was an upscale restaurant, but casual too at the bar especially. So I started talking to the bartender there. He was a fairly young guy. I said, but he seemed very professional. So I said, how long you been bartending? He said, today's my first day. So I was like, wow, you're good. He says, yeah, well, they make you bar back for a long time. Anyway, yeah, I had a good time there, and they made good drinks. It was an interesting place. They had the bottles, it almost looked like in library shelves, and it was kind of cool. Of course, I probably should have tried some kind of fancy drink, but I didn't. I stuck with my basic Stoli and tonic, or Stoli and soda. I go back and forth between those two. But it was a cool place, and I ordered some pate, which was delicious, and just struck up a conversation with the bartenders and the other people in the place, so had a good time. And then I wandered out of there and found some other bars, but that's the one that stuck in my memory, that place, because it was fun. I had a good time there. All right, that's the end of the report from first day in Vegas on this trip. All right, so Vegas was great. I had a good time. Like I said, a couple days there on my own, just wandering around, exploring different bars. And what do you think? That was funny. That was the guy's first day.
How long was he there bar backing?
He said he was bar backing for like a couple of years, he said.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So I think, I got the feeling they make a lot of people do that. And it's a great way to learn. Don't get me wrong, it's a great way to learn. But I think people listen, if you're just getting started, a great way to get started is in bartending. Hang around a bar that you like, get to know the people, and offer to bar back for nothing for, let's say, but I would set a limit on it. Say, like, I'll bar back for you for free for a week or a weekend or something, like that. This way you're getting behind the bar, you're getting experience if you've never done it before. And
well, yeah, a week, or maybe you can even go as far as 4, because there's a lot to learn. And
yeah, but I mean, whatever. I'm just saying, don't make it like indefinite. I'll bar back for you for free. Forever?
Okay, yeah.
You're gonna be
every
stuck.
Saturday.
Yeah, you're gonna be stuck. So if you set a limit on it, and then after that, and I think if you get behind the bar and you make yourself useful to the bartender, even though you're not getting shift pay or anything, the bartender's he's gonna hook you up. The bartenders, if you take care of the bartenders, they're gonna take care of you. You'll make a little money and you'll get some knowledge out of it. It's a great way to get your feet wet in this business if that's the stage you're at.
Yeah, Vegas always impresses me. I've been to Vegas 3 times, and they appreciate the tip and they expect the tip out there. So I mean, when you go to a bar or a restaurant, they make it like an memorable experience. I like that. Versus, New York, New Jersey's like that, but it's just they bring it to another level.
Yeah, well, it's all about hotels and restaurants out there, and bars and casinos. That's the whole city is based around that business, and they have a lot of competition.
Yeah.
You walk around the casinos, and there's probably 10 bars easily in every casino, and they're generally not owned by the hotel. They're rented out to other businesses. So these are each individual businesses trying to entice the guests to come in. So they have to do something special. So I have another report here, and I had a real good time in another bar. So let's listen to this other one. All right, Vince here. Second report from Vegas. My buddy's coming in just about an hour. So again, yesterday I was on my own. It was a football playoff day. So I was wandering around looking for a good bar to hang out at and watch the game. So I went past so many different places. Walking through the casinos, of course, you can see the bar. You don't have to physically go into the place. You can kind of get a sense of what it's like just by walking around. And boy, there was so many bars that I just did not feel welcome. It didn't seem like people were having a good time. I walked by so many different places, and I sat down. And I finally sat down in one place. I was starving, looking for something to eat. I must have sat there. I swear I must have sat there for 10 minutes, and there's 4 bartenders there. Not one of them looked at me, said hello. Never mind, said hello. Didn't even look at me. I finally got up and left. I couldn't believe it. And it wasn't crazy busy. I was busy, but I mean, it wasn't like a nightclub where they are working constantly. Anyway, so I walked around, and I walked past this one place. It was Gordon Ramsay's Pub and Grill, and I said, those bartenders look like they're having a good time. That's where I want to be. So I went in there, sat down, and talked to this one bartender for a long time. He was a great guy named Matt, great bartender. Everybody was having a good time in there. The guests, the bartenders having a great time. And this is something we talk about sometimes. If you just go up and start talking to a bartender, you can get a lot of information. And if you're just learning or you want to be a bartender, you go up and you tip the guy well, ask him questions. What are you making? What is that? What is that bottle? I don't recognize it. And before you knew it, he was making some fancy cocktail for somebody. And I just said, well, what are you making there? And of course, what will always happen, always 90% of the time, what will happen in that situation, the bartender is proud of what he's making, and he'll make a little extra in his shaker, and he'll give it to you for nothing. So it must have been close to half a drink there. That was probably an $18 cocktail or something, and he just said, yeah, this is what's in it, and this is how you make it, and here, taste it. And it was good. It was scotch. It was a good scotch too, and it was lemon and sugar, so like a sour mix, and if you don't have sour mix on your soda gun, that's the real way you're supposed to make it, is sugar, lemon, and egg white to make it foamy. And what else was... Oh, you know what else was in it? Sloe gin. And I said, that sounds like it's going to be sweet. And he said, no, you'll be surprised. So it was actually really good. I can't remember what they called it. But I hung out there for a long time, started talking to some people, watching the game, of course, and started talking to some guys. Turns out one of them, grew up not too far away from me. And I had a great time there. And so I left there, and since this is sort of a bar fact-finding tour, I decided I wanted to check out the Coyote Ugly Bar, which I had a feeling was going to be corny, and it was corny. It was. But that's inside the New York Hotel. And it was fun, I guess, but it was kind of corny. I met some cool people there, so I had a good time, but it was kind of silly. Anyway, that's the end of this report. Day 2 from Vegas. So what do you think? That's a good method, isn't it? You go talk to the bartender, and whether you're an experienced bartender or not, and you just want to learn, it's a great way to meet people, make connections, and learn stuff. Don't you think?
Oh, the best advice I got from when I started out was from bartenders. I got my first gig in a nightclub from taking advice of a bartender. I mean, you tip them, you got to tip.
Yeah.
And you tell them, hey, listen, I'm starting out, I'm memorizing the drinks, and what advice can you give me? Because when you first start out, you may like, what's triple sec? What's vermouth?
Yeah.
You know, you may, or how does an old fashioned made? What does that mean when you muddled fruit? You can questions like that. You just ask the bartender, and you're tipping them or her, and they're gonna be like, you know what? Here, I'll show you, and you learn. And people they like that, and it can even create you a job where, hey, you know what? We're looking for, like you said, a bar back, and I think that's great. And you know, you talk about Vegas. I was in Vegas in September, and I went to the Hooters Hotel to do a little gambling. And I was talking to one of the bartenders, and I told her, I said, listen, you know, I want to put out this thing with this guy from New York about like tips on bartend. And I go, what advice would you, if you could give someone one piece of advice for bartending, what would it be? And she looked at me, and she was smiling. She looked, and she got real serious. She's like, you got to have thick skin. She goes, I've been called every name in the book. She goes, and you just need it to survive. You know, it's a tough business. It's great, but you got to be, it's durable.
I think probably especially if you're female, because
sure.
I mean,
you're
a
lot
gonna
of
have
angry
to be
drunks.
comfortable with people staring at you. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what's gonna happen.
Sure.
But it's having thick skin is good, but having confidence is key, which they go together kind of. But having confidence behind the bar, being in control of your bar. Not just in control and make sure people don't get drunk. I mean, it's just like you want people to know that it's your bar. It's not their bar. They're visiting.
Drinking is a privilege.
You want them to have a good time, but you're a guest in my place. You know, while I'm behind the bar, it's my fucking bar. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. And Vince, you talk about confidence.
Yeah.
Like when I started out, I had confidence. But really, I had no fucking business being confident.
Yeah.
Like
well, sometimes you just got to put it on or put it on.
But the point is, you have to believe in yourself, because if you go into something and you doubt yourself, you're outnumbered.
Yeah.
But like I said, I took advice from a bartender when I was starting out, and she gave me advice to get a gig, and I landed a gig in a nightclub, and I got the job in a nightclub. And I did terrible. But what got me in there was my confidence in myself. And they recognized that, and they kept me on. And I learned. I cut my teeth bartending in a nightclub. It took a long time. But, I mean, taking advice and stuff. So, I mean, and you talk about confidence. You have to believe in yourself, because it's a rough road. And you're going to have to, go with the ups and downs of it.
Definitely. All right, so you got some notes here, stuff to talk about. What's first?
Let's go right into it, man. Like the rush of working a crowd. And we worked many gigs where it's like you and I and someone else, and it's like 350 people.
Yeah.
The bar's fucking packed.
Yeah.
You're making money. Yeah. Everything's flowing.
Yeah.
And there's a total synergy, and it's amazing. And it's just what that rush is amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. But you talked about being prepared too, and when you're in that situation, you got to be prepared, because if you don't have enough stock, if you're running out of stuff left and right, that synergy is not going to happen, because you're going to be off your game and going to run it. Now somebody's got it. Maybe you don't have a bar back, or maybe the bar back's already doing something. And if you don't have everything you need prepared, you're going to be screwed, dude. Yeah. You know, and if you run out of ice, what are you going to do? You got to stop and get more ice if you don't have somebody to get it for you.
Anticipate. That's what a bartender used to say. Anticipation.
Anticipate what you'll need. Anticipate what the guests' needs are. That's a good word. Anticipate.
Being organized. I mean, for me, when I set up, all my wines are open.
Yeah.
Whites, reds, have that, the champagne.
And everything's always in the same place.
Yeah, well,
so you're not thinking about, like your hand is reaching for that bottle.
Yep.
And you know where it is. You're thinking about something completely different.
Yep.
But your hand is reaching for that bottle because you know where it is already.
Yep. And then juices, backup juices.
Yep.
Fruit, everything is nearby. Place. I know where everything is in my section.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to bother any other bartender.
Yeah.
I'm ready to rock it out. Guest comes up, boom, boom.
I told you about this once before. I have this method where I try to keep one foot on the ground and pivot. So whatever I need,
Brown, man.
well, whatever I need needs to be within that reach. You know what I'm saying? So I have that 1 foot down.
Dance moves behind.
And I reach behind me for. You got your speed rack in front of you, but behind you are most of your bottles are behind you. So you go for that one bottle, you know where it is, you pivot, you come back, and now you're already set up to start pouring that drink. Like the bottle is starting to turn as I'm on my way to the glass because I know exactly where it is. No. You know what I mean?
That's dope. People see that shit, they're like, whoa.
And it looks smooth. It looks like you're in control again, or it looks like you know what you're doing. And it's a little bit of theater too. Sometimes I make a Cosmo in a weird way. I ice up the glass, and then I make it in the highball glasses we have. You know, if you pack that full of ice, fill it to the top, and then I stir it in the glass, and people are like, what is he doing? It's supposed to be in the martini glass, but the martini glass has ice in it, but there's no ice in the drink. But it's like so perfectly proportioned that it fits exactly in that martini glass without the ice, you know? Yep. So like, and then, you know, so I'm going this, I'm stirring, I'm doing this. And then the last thing I do, dump the ice real quick, put that martini glass in front of the person, and I pour it you can pour it really quick because I already know it's exactly perfectly proportioned. You know, so you know how sometimes if you're not sure how much is in your shaker, you got to kind of go easy because you don't want to overfill it. So I already know it's perfect. This one lady says, wow, you are very good at what you do.
I like you talk about the theater. With me, I over exaggerate the shaking of the shake. Like I do everything with me is I have 3 shakers. So, you know, 1 shaker for the Cosmos apple martinis, 1 shaker for milk, and 1 shaker for like just regular martinis. And make it a Cosmo or apple martini. Just shaking that shit, and people, you know, they go crazy, and then the end of the shaker gets frosted. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, and that sound
makes a good noise. Yeah.
They like that. I mean, for me, that's where I make my money.
Yeah.
And, you know,
well, this is something I made notes somewhere to talk about this, but we may as well talk about it now. The person is experiencing this whole event, the guest is, with all 5 senses, if you think about it. Sight, the first thing, they look, everything's neat, everything's in place. The place looks nice, you know, lighting and all that kind of stuff is not our responsibility, not our thing, but that's part of it, what they see when they first walk in. What else? Smell. You don't want it to smell bad, you know? Yeah. So what else? Sight. Oh, I already said sight. What are the other? You're going to touch the drink, so it's got to be, you want it to be cold, you want the glass to be clean. What senses am I forgetting? There's 5.
Yeah, hearing.
You're hearing, so the shaking the drink. That's part of the experience.
That sound,
of the drink too.
It's just like percussive.
Yeah, it's
hypnotic,
cool.
Man.
And then what's the taste, of course, which is the most important, I guess, or maybe not, because that's the last of the 5 they're gonna get to.
But no, you're right. It's the whole, like, the experience, like, you know, like
it's the whole experience.
How we, like, where we work, you know, you set the bar up with like candles, and then you fan out cocktail napkins. Mm-hmm. Guests come in, they're like, oh wow, look at this. It brings out that nice vibe where, you know, like, the nice candles, and there's like a balance. It's like an art piece. Yeah. But going back to what you were saying about, you know, how important it is to be organized and so everything flows. I don't know about you, but like I group like liquors that I use a lot, like the triple sec, the Kahlua, amaretto, like
Kahlua and amaretto together.
Yep. And then the vermouths, I just see where they are.
Right.
And then the lime juice grenadine I keep together. And just because you know, for me, that's how I work. And I kind of like when you go to a place, I mean, but this is something that you learn as you go. So I don't want to beat this, but like for me, if I'm in a new place, I kind of see where everything's at, like where they keep, you know, the vodkas, because every bar has the way they structure it.
And there's some things you can move around to suit yourself.
Just make sure you put it back. Yeah, I learned at the hard way where I didn't put it back, and I put a lot of shit.
Yeah. But I think most people set up their speed rack similarly, but you want to make sure it's the way you expect it to be, and you do, like I said before, do it the same every time. Don't.
A lot of it, and a lot of this podcast is we're gonna really just review. It's back to basics. It's just, you know, you got to keep on trucking, but it's these core principles that will get you in the mix of bartending. You know, it's important. And
another thing about organization, it's easy to set up your bar perfect in the beginning. Then you get really busy, and things start getting out of place, out of control. I don't do that, man. I want everything exactly the same. If it takes me an extra half a second to put that bottle back where it belongs, even though I'm busy, I'm doing it because the next time I need that bottle, it'll take me 10 seconds to find it if it's not where I expect it to be.
Yeah.
So some people, you know, even some people we work with, when it's busy, like the bar's a wreck.
Yeah.
And if you have to go over there and help them or whatever, you're like, I can't work here. I don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
So it's I saw somebody describe it as the perfect world. You want your bar to be set up as the perfect world in the beginning, and all through the night, no matter how busy you are, it should be the same. And that includes wiping down the bar when it gets wet and sticky. No. You don't want that. And
you should always be moving. If you're not serving anyone, your space. That's why you always have bar rag. You clean. I learned that. Owners always want to see you busy, but you got to always be. Just inertia. You got to just keep doing
inertia. Right. Yeah. Keep moving. Yep.
Because that's the bottom line. But you talk about for me. I told you I always bring 3 shakers. I bring a can opener. I bring a wine key, pen, matches, a notepad. And I got to tell you something on a personal note. If you're an experienced bartender and you show up and you don't have a shaker, you don't have a wine key, get with the fucking program, man.
Yeah, you can't rely on...
honestly, then you're coming to me and you're disrupting my chi.
Yeah.
Well, I'm rocking out with a crowd. I got to give you a shaker. I got to give you a bottle opener. Come prepared, especially if you've been doing this for a while.
And now you need your tool that you don't... And now you don't have your own tool now.
Yeah.
I know. And you can't rely on the house or anybody for any of that stuff.
You go prepared. If you go to an establishment and they see that we bring like a backpack.
Yeah.
I got a muddler. I got everything on my own. But the only thing that I find that it gets tough is people want to borrow one of the shakers, and it's like, you don't want to be rude, but it kind of sets you back. So now I have 4 shakers, anticipating someone's going to want. Yeah.
Well, that's like you bring 2 pens because you're going to lose one.
Yeah.
In the course of the night, but I've been in this situation. I need to borrow something, whatever it is. Maybe it's a bottle that I ran out of or something, and you go to and you get a look from the other bartenders, man, when you take their stuff.
Oh, you don't put it back. I've been like, where's my cranberry juice? Like that one guy, I won't name his name. He takes the fucking cranberry juice, and then I come back, and it's like I'm playing like the hunting game. Okay, where is it? And then I got like 3 Cosmos I gotta make. I have no cranberry juice.
Yeah. You don't want to be on either side of that equation where you're lending stuff out or you're the one borrowing stuff.
Yeah. What about? Let me ask you something, because I've worked with you many gigs and we killed it and we made loot. We're not bullshitting people. This is not something that I just said let's do this. We made money doing this, bartending. And what does it feel like, man? Isn't it great when you're getting tipped?
Yeah.
And people tell you you're great.
Yeah.
Like, when you're doing like a gig with 400 people, we've done gigs where there's like 6 bartenders. There's almost 900 people.
Yeah.
And you're getting crazy. You're getting mad love. Everything's flowing.
Yeah.
It really kind of like, it gasses your head a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because
you're
walking around with money.
It's a rush just to work the crowd and make sure everything's... We're almost like the second DJ in the party. The DJ's important. The DJ's in the party.
The head chemist of the party, the bartender. Chemist.
Liquid relations.
Hope on the rocks. I've been seeing on Twitter like crazy with bartenders. Hope on the rocks.
Oh, I never heard that one. Yeah, liquid relation manager. That's us. But it's what keeps the party going.
And for me, and you know what? I've said this, and people look at me crazy. When you're getting that type of love, I always say that bartending is like a cheap way of being famous, like a shortcut to fame, because it's a weird thing. Like,
but you're the rock star of the party.
You really are. Like, and it's like when you're flowing.
Yeah, when
it's like, it's just like, holy cow! It's just like everything is perfect. It's like something out of a movie. It's just like, hey, great. This guy's great. Like, holy cow.
And then you want, if you're working one of these open, or let's say you're hosting a party at an open bar type situation or something, you want the bartenders to be happy, which what makes us happy, money. So I never understood why at these open bar events, whoever's running the party, just at the beginning of the party, come over and make us happy. $20 each. Boom. Okay, now we're good. It's gonna be a good party. Yeah. What you don't want is tip rage, because you want to come back to that?
Yeah, we'll come. That's something that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah,
we'll say that for the next podcast. Because we're gonna go a whole segue on tip rage. But I don't want to take a wrong turn down Negative Alley. So let's focus. Let's focus on this, sir. But flowing and vibing with the crowd. It takes experience, man, to do that. And it took me a long time to get comfortable behind the bar, because when I first started, I was green, and it was really tough, and the bumps in the road. But you need experience, and I think bartending school is great. If you have the money to do it, do it. But you got to understand something. Bartending school is not going to give you experience.
Right.
You got to go there and you have to experience it. You have to experience what it's like to work a crowd, where the keg kicks, where the sodas. I don't know how to change an air tank. Bob Vila ain't no friend of mine with tools. I mean,
what would you say? You didn't know how?
Yeah, the air tank kick, the keg.
Yeah.
I mean, I could change a keg, but then there's no carbon. There's no the CO2 tanks done. You got to do all this. Then the soda tanks with the Pepsi. You black is out. I reversed it, and then I couldn't get the and people are screaming at you, but you have to learn that.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what that girl told me in Vegas, thick skin, because it gets stressful in the beginning.
Yeah, there's gonna be times when it doesn't go perfectly, and you just gotta power through it. And it's a bad feeling when you got guests waiting for you, or people are getting pissed because they're waiting a long time or whatever it is. It's not a good feeling, but you just gotta power through it.
You have to learn like that, and that's the best way to learn. And bar backing, what's great about how we're talking about it is that you're going into an event and you're saying, hey man, I don't know anything, but I took the time to study this,
right?
And I'm eager to learn.
Yeah.
Versus when I went to bartending school, they told you to lie to get a job. That's how.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they told me. They said, go in there, lie. So I went to a nightclub. And then, a bartender gave me advice on other things just to actually get an interview. That's how I got the interview, from a bartender's advice. But the bartending school is like, listen, just go in there and tell them that you work, make up places. I listen, for the bartenders listening, imagine this. I'm right out of bartending school and I'm working by myself at a multi-level nightclub. It was horrendous. I fucking was terrible. I remember this. I was like, this is not for me. But I look back and it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I really played in traffic, man. And the owner saw that, and I went up to the owner after the end of the night. I gave him the money back. I was like, listen, I can't take this. I'm sorry I wasted your time. He's like, you know what? You got balls.
Yeah.
And I got hired, but it took me a long time. I would say almost 6-7 months of working different types of parties to get crowd control, to get confident.
Yeah.
Because I had the drinks in my head, but like the different, how people want it differently and how the vibing and, I mean, what about you?
Yeah, it takes a while to get comfortable, and then even when you move from one place to another, it takes a little while to get comfortable with a new place. Even when you are experienced, but don't let that discourage you.
Yeah.
Go for it,
Rock
and then
it out.
you talk about getting experience. You can practice stuff at home. Get yourself a bottle, fill it with water, and get a pourer. Get a glass, fill it with ice. Practice. We'll talk another time about how to count off the drinks, but practice pouring. Practice. It can't hurt to practice at home. Pour.
Yeah.
And
YouTube.
It's amazing. YouTube. You can learn anything.
And not even that, like you said in the beginning about, go to a bartender if you're going for lunch.
Yeah.
Throw him $5 or her $5. Ask questions, but you got to study, and we'll cover that again. But like we did in the first podcast, study those drinks, memorize that. But like the ins and outs, ask a bartender, like stuff that you want to know how to make, or even YouTube, like how to make an old fashioned. Go on YouTube, watch it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Ask a bartender. And why don't we leave it there for today, and we'll move on. You want to talk about the soda gun?
You take it away because you were talking about this the other night. Just give a Cliff Notes version of the soda gun.
Well, the soda gun, if you don't know, you got your sodas on there. There's a different button for each. It's kind of in code. Yeah. you just gotta ask somebody. What is T? T is 7-Up for some reason. I don't know why.
Q is tonic.
Well, Q, for quinine.
Yes.
And P is Pepsi maybe, but then
soda
maybe
is club
Coke.
soda.
So whatever it is, and then some of them have juice on them. Most of them don't.
Yeah.
And you got your sour mix on there. So it's
sour mix on ours is what, M?
S, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I can't remember.
So many different, but yeah,
it's usually
ask
yellow.
Before you start. Whenever you start working a gig.
The first time I worked there, I hit somebody asked for a Sprite. And I gave him like a cup full of sour mix. Yeah. My first day working there. Yeah. Here's one tip I'll give. I found out kind of weird, but I used to pick up the gun and push the button with my index finger, and I would get the next day I would have these pains all the way up my arm. And I was talking to somebody else about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, you got to use your thumb." Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. This is killing me." So that's
good.
That's a weird little tip, but it's important. It's like carpal tunnel. Sure, what happens for some reason that reaching forward with your index finger kills you.
Yep.
All right.
That was good, man.
All right. So once again, ask a bartender. That's
confidence.
Cool. We'll see you next time. Remember, give us a tweet or an email. We'll love to give you a shout out on the show. And you can email me at vince.bartender@gmail.com. Twitter is barkeeptips.
You can reach me. This is Vano. You can reach me at Vance Vano at Twitter. And you can reach me in email bartender2222@gmail.com.
Peace.